We greet you in the ancient greeting of Islam, Islam, Islam. We'd like to welcome you once again to the Voice of Moorish America, TVMA, for the spiritually, emotionally, and intellectually mature audience.
Yeah,
We
right.
thank you for your love and support of the Voice of Moorish America. I am Brother A. Hopkins Bey. I am the Grand Sheikh of Temple number 11, Moorish Science Temple number 11, in the city of brotherly love, the city of Philadelphia. We are your hosts, and we're going to be presenting to you topics, modern topics, from a Moorish perspective.
Islam. Once again, Islam, and welcome. I'm Sister E. Hopkins Bey, Sheikh and Divine Minister. For those of you who are coming back to our channel, praise Allah. We thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and showing us all the love and support. We appreciate it. For those who are first time on, remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Once you are on this video. Praise be to Allah.
Praise Allah, Islam.
Islam, once again, this is Sister S. Hopkins and Bay. She is the Divine Minister of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And I would also like to thank all of our viewers, all of our new viewers, and our soon-to-be viewers.
Yes.
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Yes, first we would like to begin. As Muslims, we begin all things in the name of the Most High.
That's right.
Almighty God, Allah, most gracious, most merciful Creator. We raise our thoughts and give praise to the one true God, whom alone belongs worship, adoration, thanksgiving, and praise. And we thank Almighty God, Allah, for displaying His infinite mercy, manifesting His thought in flesh, January the 8th, 1886, in the person of none other than Prophet Noble Drew Ali, to whom all honor is due. We like to give honor, we like to give thanks to Prophet Noble Drew Ali for establishing the most wonderful organization to ever exist, and that is the Moorish Science Temple of America. We're grateful to the Prophet.
Yeah,
We like to give honor to the forerunner of the Prophet, Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We give honor to the forerunner, Marcus Garvey, a mighty, mighty spirit who was sent to raise the cultural consciousness and awareness of our people, to get them ready to receive the message of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We give honors to the past leadership of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We give honor to our present Grand Sheikh and leader, Brother R. Jones Bey, and to the assistant Grand Sheikh, Brother P. Chase Ill. We give honors to all national leaders, all state officials. We give honor, special honor, to the Grand Governor of the state of Pennsylvania, Brother J. Brown Beck. Pray for our brothers. We give honors to all of our local officials. We give honors to all Moors and Muslims all over the world. We give honor to man, because when man honors man, he honors his father, God Allah. Praise Allah, praise Allah, praise Allah. Once again, welcome again to the Voice of Moorish America. It's an honor to be amongst you brothers and sisters once again, and we're humbled by you being a part of the Voice of Moorish America. We thank you all with the sincerity of a child's heart. So we got some important topics to discuss tonight. Today is February the 1st.
Yeah, right.
It's February the 1st.
Yes.
And you know what the month of February is about. This is known as Black History Month.
Right.
And we want to address that topic. We want to tackle that topic. A part of the show is Black History Month Exposed. And we're going to talk about Moorish history and the relevance of Moorish history, as well as various celebrities that identify with Moorish culture and tradition. So let us first talk about Black History Month, because as many of you well know, we as members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, as students of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, we're divine ministers in the Moorish Science Temple of America. So we identify intimately with the teachings of the founder, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And Prophet Noble Drew Ali has taught us that the names Negro, Black, and Colored were names given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era in time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which we live and the nations of the earth. So we're not Black people. First we want to tackle that topic. Black History Month, and I want to be clear. This is not a show or a program attacking our brothers and sisters, our family.
Right.
We love our brothers and our sisters.
Yes.
However, we have an obligation to teach the truth
That's right.
about who our people are. Knowledge of self, that's the foundation.
Right.
If you don't know who you are, you have no foundation in which to build upon. I don't care if you went to school, you got a double bachelor, a master's, a PhD. If you don't know who you are, you don't know nothing. So this is not a program about attacking our brothers and sisters who call themselves Black. That's our people. That's our family.
Right.
So this is not a show or a program about attacking Carter G. Woodson. Okay, that's one of the ancestors and the origin of Black History Month. It starts with Carter G. Woodson. Carter G. Woodson, in the year of 1926, actually started out this idea as Negro History Week.
Right.
That was in 1926. By 1976, that is when Negro History Week unfolded into what we observe today as Black History Month. So what we want to attack is these slave labels. Okay, Black. Black is not a nationality. It is not an identifier, proper identifier of a people.
Right.
Actually, Black describes your social status. The prophet has taught us, Prophet Noble Drawley taught us that Black, according to science, means death. Okay, and I encourage you, brothers and sisters, get a good dictionary. Get a good unabridged dictionary. Look up the word Black for yourself.
Right.
Get a good Webster's or Oxford unabridged dictionary and look up the word Black. Get an etymology dictionary and look up the word Black. You'll receive meanings of the word Black, you know, such as sullen, dismal, hostile, gloomy. Also, to be without consciousness or memory temporarily. You know, you'll read these definitions of the word Black, but also Black is a legal term because Black actually describes your social status. It has nothing to do with your skin complexion.
Right.
And if you know a little bit about history, you are aware of the fact that there are pale-skinned Europeans in the United States of America, okay, decades ago, who were classified as Black because it described their status.
Right.
It describes their social status. I don't care if you deal with biology, if you have an understanding about jurisprudence, sociology, you know, no matter what area of science that you look at, Black, according to science, means death. Okay, Black is a slave name that was put on our people. Okay, it was a mark that was placed upon our people in the year of 1774. Black is not an identifier of a group of people, and is not even recognized by any civilized people nowhere in the world. You identify people by their nationality, by their national origin.
That's right.
And even if you look at U.S. Directive number 15, race and ethnic standards for administrative reporting, it will describe, you know, who's identified as Black and white. Okay, and look up the situation in regards to our brother Mustafa Hefni, a brother who comes from Egypt, a brother now.
Right.
Okay, I'm not talking about a pale Arab. I'm not talking about a pale face. I'm talking about a brother from Egypt who comes to America, and he looks on his documents and his records, and he realizes that he's classified as white, because any countries in North Africa, and listen, this is also an attempt to steal your legacy.
Right.
Any civilization that has made a profound impact on the world, there is an attempt to claim them as a so-called white civilization. Okay, ancient Egypt was not a so-called white civilization. Okay, the Carthaginians, the Malians, the Moorish Empire, the Moroccans, those are not so-called white civilizations, although according to U.S. Directive number 15, they're classified as white civilizations. Okay, and even on the first census taken in this country, you had free people, free Moors, who are classified as white, because white, again, white and black has nothing to do with your skin complexion. Our skin is not black. It is a political status. It describes a social condition, and nationality determines your political status. So we want to be clear that black, that is an illusion, that is a myth, it is a social construct. Okay, so we don't identify with that black thing. Okay, and I want to be clear, we love our people.
That's right. Yes.
We love our people, even those who still cling to those terms. Those are our people. That's family.
That's right.
However, it's our job to educate our people, to humbly educate our people. And we're taught in the Moorish Science Temple of America that man knows not by being told. But man, to know, he must himself be what he knows. So that's why we encourage you to do the research for yourself, brothers and sisters. Do the research for yourself. So that black thing, black in Spanish is Negro. It's negro. And a lot of us, we got a problem with Negro. We say we're not Negroes, but we cling to black. It's the same thing. And I'm gonna read something from one of our ancestors, one of our scholars. And this is the story of the Moors in Spain by Stanley Lane Poole. Great book. The introduction was written by our brother, our ancestor, John G. Jackson. May Allah be pleased with him. And I want you to hear this analogy and this information in regards to black. And like I said before, black and Negro is the same thing.
It is.
Black and Negro is the same thing. Negro is the Spanish term for black. And Latin, you know what it is in Latin? Nigger. You know, nigger is in the Bible. Acts in the Bible, chapter 13, the first verse in chapter 13 of the book of Acts, it talks about Simeon the Niger. See, that's Latin. And if you understand anything about the biblical record, you know that, the Septuagint was the Greek Bible. The Vulgate, which came later, was the Latin Bible. Okay, so in Latin, that word Neger is present. All right, Neger, Negro, black. All the same thing. So when you read about Negro, that's black. So John G. Jackson, he puts in the introduction to the story of the Moors in Spain. This must be a part of our libraries, brothers and sisters. It must. It says here, our brother says, and scholar, historian, he says, Africans are commonly identified in two groups. One progressive, the other backward. The progressive people are called Hamites, Cushites, Moors, whereas the backward ones are called Negroes. Black is the same thing. The word Negro comes from the Latin word niger, which meaning black. You see? Same thing. He just said it himself. You see? And I reference, literature such as this because if you don't want to believe us, because some people may say, well, you guys are partial. That's you come from the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's what you guys believe. So I'm reading from authors that are unbiased. They don't have, the same vested interest that we have in regards to teaching the divine philosophy of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So again, our brother, he says, the word Negro comes from the Latin word niger, meaning black. Hamites, Cushites, and Moors, and he's describing phenotype here, were also black. And he has to state that because there's an effort to take the legacy of our ancestors. You know, some people say, well, the Moors, they were pale. And they'll make up terms like tawny Moors to cause confusion. So a lot of our researchers and scholars, they'll make it plain in regards to the phenotype of exactly who the Moors are. That's why we read last show about the phenotype of the Moors. They were an Africoid people. So it continues. He says, the word Negro was manufactured during the Atlantic slave trade. Or to put it another way, there are many species of small fish in the ocean. When put into cans, they are called sardines. There are no free fish called sardines. They only get that name when canned. No free Africans were called Negroes. And he says black is the same thing. They got that name only after being enslaved. A fish becomes a sardine when imprisoned in a can, and Africans become Negroes when they were put in chains. All right, so black starts with slavery, brothers and sisters. We are not black people. All right, that is not a nationality. That is not our identity as a nation of people. So Black History Month. Praise Allah. You know, we thank Almighty God Allah for those who have positive intentions on educating the minds of our people. And it's good to learn about Booker T. Washington, Phyllis Wheatley, Thurgood Marshall, even ancestors and freedom fighters like Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Prosser, Nat Turner, and I oftentimes in the temple, when I'm talking about these mighty spirits, I put a Baal eel on them. I say Nat Turner eel. I say Harriet Tubman Beck. These are freedom fighters. And it's good to learn about our ancestors in this land. And oftentimes during this so-called Black History Month, this is what you hear about. You know, you hear about Dr. Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. You know, that's what you'll hear about. You know, and it's deep. Was that a few weeks ago? We went to the bookstore.
Yes.
We went to the bookstore. It was about a few weeks ago. We took our children to the bookstore for my birthday. You know what I'm saying? That's how we do. So we took the children to the bookstore, and we were looking at books. And our daughter, she's a part of the what is that thing? She's
Reading Olympics.
Reading Olympics.
That's good.
That's we got to encourage our children to read and be scholarly.
That's right.
And it's deep. As a side note, I love, you know, telling my daughters, and we tell our children, you know, we share history with our children. And I let them know because my daughter, she's such a good reader. She's a profound reader. Both my babies, they love reading. Just today, you know, my daughter, she's supposed to be doing something else, and she's like, I'm reading this book. You got to do this first. All right, do that another time. That's right. But she loves studying. She loves reading. And I shared with her. I said, baby girl, you read so well. And do you know that the level of reading that you're on right now? And our daughter, she was born in 2008. Okay. You know, people ask me, how old is your daughters? I'm trying to, I just tell them the year they were born. Trying to calculate. But she young. But I say, baby girl, do you know that you read on a higher level than 99% of Europe in the Middle Ages? Because 99% of Europe was illiterate, could not read nor write. So our babies, and that's one of the first things that you learn in Islam, that it's promoted, is read. That's right. That's the first revelation that Almighty God Allah gave the Prophet Muhammad, to read, recite in the name of Almighty God Allah. So even by our religious practice and our culture, it promotes literacy. Okay, so we were in the library on my birthday, and we want to buy books that our babies can identify with, you know, Asiatic books, you know, books written by our people. So I picks up this book, And it's a book about, so-called Black history.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to write it off, automatically. It might have some good stuff in it. I'm not going to judge a book by its cover.
Right.
So I'll get the book, I open the book up, I'm looking through the book, I go back to the index,
Mhm.
and it says, okay, it's like starts with the beginning,
Mhm.
or the start
Mhm.
of the history of Black and African people.
Mm.
So I'll go to the very beginning, to this chapter, which starts with what they call the beginning.
Mhm.
And I said, it blew my mind.
Right.
And I showed it to my wife. I brought the book. I said, you got to see this. Because the book actually starts with slavery.
Yeah. Yeah.
It starts with slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a large part, I'm not saying with everybody,
Right.
but for the most part, for this so-called Black History Month, they're teaching about the history of our people beginning with slavery.
Right. That's right.
You're not going to hear about mighty soldiers, one of the greatest generals to walk the face of this earth, Hannibal, who's a Carthaginian, who extended the Carthaginian Empire into places like Italy and Rome. You're not going to hear about it. You're not going to hear about how he actually took the fight to Rome and crossed the Alps with elephants. You're not going to hear about it. And do you know that his military tactics and strategy are studied at places, military colleges such as West Point? But our children oftentimes don't know nothing about him.
That's true.
Know nothing about him. Okay, that he's a Carthaginian. And where's Carthage located? It's in Africa.
Right.
Okay? And when you read about him, you're going to read about him actually being a Moor.
That's right.
So when we read about the Carthaginians and how the wars that were fought were the Punic Wars,
Right.
we know what that's about.
Right.
That's what we have to teach our children. Well, Punic Wars, what is Punic? You see? The Greeks referred to the Canaanites as Phoenicians.
Right.
In Latin, it's Punicus. So Punic, Phoenician, okay, Carthaginian, that's referring to our people. Okay? You're not going to hear about Mansa Musa, who was one of the richest people ever to exist on this earth. This brother actually upset the whole economy of Egypt because when he made his pilgrimage, he dropped so much gold, the value of gold dropped.
Yeah.
So you had some gold, but after Mansa Musa came through, it's like, well, that doesn't, have that much more value because guess what? We all got gold.
Right.
He was that generous. He was that loving. He loved his people so much. Islam.
On that topic, what's so deep about Mansa Musa?
Yes.
And Hannibal, the great Hannibal. If our people do read about the Hannibals and the Mansa Musas and the Ashantis, they're not going to make a connection to themselves. When we read about this, why? Because they weren't identified as Black.
Right.
They weren't identified as African American.
Right.
They weren't identified as Negro.
Right.
They had a true identity. So it was a strategic, plan that was put in place by the Europeans when we were enslaved to take something that was and is very important from us. And that was our nationality. Because he knew the connection of nationality, of what it has on your history, as well as your future.
Right.
So if he take your nationality away from you, your identity, and the first generation of Moors who were stripped of their nationality, 1774, they knew who they were.
Right.
But after that, their progeny, their children coming, after them, because it was sworn oaths that were taken not to teach our people to read.
That's right. That's right.
And not to let them know who they are.
Right.
They took sworn death oaths.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Not to tell you who you were. So, the progeny, from the first generation of Moors who were stripped of their nationality, later on down the line, they don't know who they are now.
Right, exactly.
Now they're identifying by slave names that was strategically placed on us, which is Negro, Black, color. This is how you identify your slave. You're going to mark them.
True.
You know, you're going to say that's a Black individual. That's a Negro individual.
Right.
That's how you know that that individual was a slave. You know, so it's just deep to me how, you know, even if we do read about, you know, these great, you know, individuals that are a part of, you know, our nation.
Right.
We're not even going to identify with them.
True.
We're going to say, oh, that's them over there. But that's a part of our history.
That's a part
you
of
know,
us.
coming post-slavery, you know, post-slavery, we don't even know who we are. We're reading and reading about individuals who were enslaved, and we don't want to even see the movies of slavery because it's like we don't feel good about it.
Right.
You know, we don't feel good about our history because we don't know our true history.
Right.
You know, so it's a reason why we have those feelings when we see the slavery movies. We say we seen too much of that, and oh wow, they're playing so many slavery movies. Listen. We need to know what happened anyway.
True.
You know, to our people. We need to know why we're in the condition that we are today.
That's right.
You know, I give honors to, you know, the founder of, you know, Negro Week as it first came out. And now it's Black History Month.
Right.
I give honors to him, but he didn't have the solution for our people.
Islam.
Right.
Islam.
I want to be honest. He didn't have the solution to our people.
Islam.
You know, I knew that we were suffering. Every nation has suffered slavery.
That's right.
Every nation.
That's right. That's right.
All right. I don't care who you are. Every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creeds and principles of their forefathers and strayed after the gods of Europe of whom they knew nothing about.
Right. That's right. Absolutely. And this issue in regards to slavery that you brought up.
It's really quick.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I do want you to I want us to continue. However, we have activity going on in the chat room. So I just want to, we just have to take one brief moment to pause and get the chat room up and running. And then we will go right back into this discussion. Praise Allah. Please just bear with us, all of our viewers. Praise Allah.
Okay.
Praise Allah. And a couple of those emotions in this.
This is something. Go ahead. Put it where?
Put it in there. Our screen over this one so that it's over so we can see just this. So like put the screen over and that's behind the screen.
Another time.
I don't think I see this one, so let me just go back to this. Just check and see what's in the chat room. Okay. And then we can just come right back to it just to see what some of the questions are.
Okay, Islam.
Islam.
Press 1 if you can hear us, brothers and sisters. Okay. Okay. Praise Allah. All right. Praise Allah. Please forgive us.
Yes, forgive us, please.
You know, we're just starting. You know, this is our second show on the Voice of Moorish America, and it's definitely an honor to be amongst you, brothers and sisters, and we thank you for your love and support.
That's right.
Just continuing with this discussion in regards to the history of our people.
Right.
I just want to make the point real quick that it's very dangerous, you know, to begin and to perpetuate the idea that our history began during slavery.
Right.
That's very dangerous.
It is.
That promotes a evil psychology amongst our people.
Right.
Okay, it's very evil because that's carrying the notion that you were birthed in chains.
Right.
And our history, it long predates slavery, brothers and sisters. So to be cognizant of this fact, you have to know your nationality.
Right.
Nationality must be on board.
Right.
And nationality has a function.
That's right.
And one of the functions of nationality is to transfer a nation's history,
That's right.
culture,
That's right.
religion, way of life from one generation to another. That's the function of nationality. So when nationality is completely understood, there is definitely a continuity of thought regarding the ancestors. And we're going to talk about that.
That's right.
We're going to definitely get into that.
Islam. Praise Allah for everything my co-host demonstrated on. And yes, I believe that this so-called Black History Month, for one month is never going to be enough to, you know, truly explain and delve into the illustrious history of our forefathers.
Right.
However, because they're starting so late, you know, with starting with slavery, that's late. That's not getting even into, you know, the true essence of who we were as a people and our history. If we go back to some of the, just to name some of the sisters, you know, some of the queens.
Right.
Sister mentioned Queen Ashanti.
Yes.
Yes, we got Queen Nzinga.
Yes.
You know, this sister was a warrior for Angola.
Mighty sister.
Yes, where she made sure that she was defeating and protecting the indoctrination that was happening through the Portuguese on her people, you know, and standing firm, you know, making sure, even taking over the kingdom after her brother, you know, had passed. So it's huge. We got also Queen Candace of Kush. Praise Allah. This is a warrior queen. You know, actually, people of the likes of Alexander the Great,
so-called great,
you know, that's what it's great. He came up during a battle, came up and saw her and her troops on them elephants. Yes. Turned right back around the other direction because he knew he couldn't defeat her. You know, her winning streak already was, you know, of the utmost. So he couldn't even tackle it. And it's the vibration that we carry, you know, as sisters and brothers. You know, the illustrious history of our people. You know, the way that we conducted ourselves within families. The way we treated our elders. The way, you know, we were such a close-knit, you know, community until we begin to divide ourselves. You know, that's when they were able to creep in and to be able to begin to enslave us. But before that, you couldn't do that. You know, the way that we were connected was such on a strong, high level. You know, and those are the attributes that we want to portray to our children.
Right.
Yeah. Those are the things that are not told in the schools today.
Right.
You know, I was never told about these queens, you know, or these strong brothers. Never, you know, Brother Zuriad, you know, never was demonstrated within the school system. So, and a lot of times, yes, as my co-host demonstrated, if they see it now, they can't connect to it because they don't look at it as their own. However, pictures, visual pictures, they are a part of ingraining and molding the mindset of the child. You know, visualization is huge. So that's why if they were at least shown the pictures of our ancestors, our true forefathers before slavery, you would be like, hold on, they look like me.
Exactly.
They look like my uncle. You know, all of these things, they would begin to say like, wow, hold up. These people are my people, you know, and it changes the paradigm. It opens up and say so that you can believe that you you have the ability to reach great heights, and can do more, you know, than just following the history of slavery. You know, being in bondage, having a mindset starting out, as you just demonstrated, of bondage. You know, that already puts you at a low degree, you know, mentally, low self-esteem, not believing that you could achieve much else, you know, and it divides you, because that energy of slavery is a division, you know, separating us from our families, separating us, you know, as a people. That divides the mind. So that's why now individuals feel as though they can't work with one another. It's all inclusive. It's a lot that goes behind that. We have to recognize that psychologically, that has damaged our people, and it affects us to this very day. It affects you, to this very day. To know, but to actually know who you are. Prophet Noble Drawley brings us back to our illustrious history of the Moors. And when you find out about these great people that are your people, you begin to open up and say, wow, I am somebody, you know, it's not just the same, but you know, you truly are somebody, and you came from a great history. So, you know, you have nothing to be embarrassed about. And you can achieve great things. Just know that, you know, however, it takes the visualization, the relearning, you know, and teaching our people who they truly are. But it can't be Black history. You know, automatically that's negative connotation of your history. What is that? Hate history, gloomy history. You know, we can replace those words, you know, with the negative connotations in the dictionary. You know what Black means. So, you know, absence of light. Your history is absence of light. You know, absence of spiritual, you know, enrich, you know, great things. You can't have that more. You know, starting out with that is automatically going to put you in a lower state of mind. So we just raise it up and let the people know that you started way before then. And 1 month will never be enough to describe and explain your true history. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Absolutely. No, not 1 week. Not 28 days. Not 29 days. Not 30 days. It's definitely not enough. And that's why you must know your nationality. Moorish history. You know, Moorish history. And I'm of the firm position that to be ignorant of Moorish history is to be ignorant of world history. The whole historical history curriculum has to be revamped because Moorish history must be in place. That's global history. And this is also one reason why that you were saying that someone, even our people, can study the history of our people and look at great people, some of these great soldiers that we mentioned, and read about the Malian Empire and the Songhai Empire, the Carthaginian Empire. And also, as a side note, 711 or 710 is not the first time we entered Spain, because actually the Moors under the Carthaginians went into Spain long prior to 710, 711. And that's actually where you get the name Barcelona, Spain from, the Barca family. The Hannibal Barca family, his father Hamilcar Barca. So that was a Moorish Carthaginian presence in Spain long prior. But like you said, our people can read about the history, read about the great people, and still not identify. And this is because There's a mindset
Right.
that comes along with the Black identity.
Yeah.
And
Right.
this is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali is teaching us to return to the state of mind of our forefathers. That there must be an absolute paradigm shift.
That's right.
Because when you understand who you are and your nationality, brothers and sisters, a whole new vast, a whole new world,
Yes, it does.
a whole, literally,
I've been with
the veil will be removed.
Yes.
Once you understand who you are. I mean, more brothers and sisters, it's so much.
Yes.
It's so much. And just to well, first of all, before we get to some history about the Moors, I want to, always, touch on what is a Moor and who are the Moors.
Right.
Because they're grand misconceptions about who are the Moors, and you have certain people who are putting out some very, very terrible information in regards to the Moors, and the Moors enslaved Africans. That's an insane statement.
Right.
Because those so-called Africans, they are Moors. And I wanna read same people, okay? Just a little bit from Golden Age of the Moor from Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. These are great reads, Moors. Great reads. And Moors, we have some wonderful scholars, Moors. This is just an excerpt real quick about the Moors. It says, in Romance languages, okay, this is where the confusion comes into play. Romance languages are languages that are rooted in Roman thought, okay? Since the Romance languages, Spanish, French, and Italian of medieval Europe, Moor was translated as Moro, Moir, and Moor. Derivatives of the word Moor may be found even today in these same languages. In Spanish, for example, the word for blackberry is mora, a noun which originally meant Moorish woman. And that's another thing, basic grammar. Black is an adjective. It describes the noun. It's not a noun. Continuing, it says, also in Spanish, the adjective for dark complexion, which is now brunette, means moreno. We find a similar legacy in the French language. In French, moricor means dark skin or blackamoor, while morillon means black grape. Again, as in Spanish, the Italian word mora means Negro or Moorish female. Also in Italian, mora means blackberry, while moriaola means black olive. Now, I want to be clear. Once again, the scholars are explaining the phenotype of those who identify themselves as Moors. But I want to be clear. The word Moor did not originate with the European. He got it much later. Okay? We were identifying ourselves as Moors. And it's the same thing with the term Berber. Years ago, that was a teaching that said, well, we're not Berbers. Berber comes from the European, the Romans, Barbary, which meant barbarian. However, come to find out through meticulous research, Berber was an indigenous name of our people. Actually, Berber was one of the names of the Moors. Moors were known as Berbers. And it gives you more perspective into the name Iberian Peninsula, because Iberian is linguistically related to the word Berber or Betty. And you have a lot of indigenous tribes that are in Africa who could trace their ancestry back. And this is from the work of our Sister Dana Marniche, who's outstanding performing research in regards to the history and identity of our people. She's showing and proving in regards to the word Berber, Berberi, being used by our forefathers. So that word, it does not belong to the European. It doesn't. And the same with the term Moor, it doesn't belong to the European. We were identifying ourselves as Moors. And even, we can prove even in one of the oldest written languages in the world, which is known as the Medu Neter, we can find the word Moor. Okay, the word more is present. And just like in English, there are many ways in which you can use the word more according to context.
Right.
Okay, same thing with the ancient language in Kemet. More meant beloved. Beloved. So oftentimes we say to brother, peace, beloved.
Right.
You saying more. Okay, that's right. You saying more. It means leader. It means guide. It means supervisor. It means love.
Right.
Okay, and it's actually used. I found some information in regards to the word more actually being a title. Just like our names, Bay and Eel. Bay is our holy name, a holy family name.
That's right. Yeah.
But during the Ottoman Empire, it was also used as a title. They had beyliks, or governors over certain areas. The beys, the governors, the rulers. So the term more at one point in time, according to some research, was a title used for the high priest of the temple of Anu. Anu. And in Hebrew, Anu is on. In Greek, it's Heliopolis. Okay, the city of the sun. Also, we can find the word more in ancient Syriac, which is a dialect of Aramaic, which is the language of the prophet Jesus. Okay, in Syriac, ancient Syriac, the word more means Lord. And those of us who are students of the prophet, when we hear teachings like that, we can reference our sacred literature. In particular, chapter number 1, when it talks about our birthright. Okay, our birthright. So this term more, it is an ancient term, that was used by our forefathers to identify us. Okay, the original man.
That's right.
Okay, that's the more. It actually implies original man. And we can demonstrate that through the teachings of Prophet Nubuju Ali, going all the way back to the beginning. And we can also demonstrate how we are Moors in regards to empires.
Right.
Okay, and we got to make things like this plain.
Right.
Talk about an empire, we're just not throwing information out just to throw it out. Empire is a political unit having extensive territory comprising many nations. Okay, ruled by supreme authority. So, for example, and this is just giving an example for our brothers and our sisters who say, well, I claim my lineage from this country, from this tribe. I'm not a Moor. Okay, like you talked about some of our ancient sisters, like Queen Nzinga, Queen Asantiwa, Queen Candace, Queen Hatshepsut. So you may be able to trace yourself, and I'm from here. I'm not a Moor. Listen, when our ancestors were enslaved, when we fell down, we were under a particular empire. Okay, the Moroccan Empire.
That's right.
And the Moroccan Empire, again, that is a political unit having extensive territory comprising many nations under one supreme executive authority. So the Moroccan Empire extended amongst many nations. Many nations in the ancient Moorish Empire. We're talking about the Americas, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So when our people were enslaved, if you claim or you can trace your ancestry back and my so-and-so was in slavery, listen, prior to them being enslaved, they were under the Moroccan Empire. Okay? So the example that I always get, something that we can relate to, boxing. Boxing, people, when those boxers enter a ring, they represent a nation. They got a flag. They got a nation behind them. So there was a boxer, European, Joe Calzaghe. And when Joe Calzaghe would fight, he would have two flags. He would have the flag of Britain, and he would also have the flag of Wales. And some may wonder, why does he have two flags? Because at that time, the Welsh people were under the British Empire. So if you understand how empires work, you can at once be Welsh and British at the same time. So for our people, you may say, well, I trace myself back to the Mandinka people, to the Yoruba people. Well, guess what? You are Moor at the same time.
Islam.
So we Moors, no matter how you
That's
cut it,
right.
well, whether you want to go all the way back to the beginning or whether you want to deal with empires, okay? We're all Moors. And when you study Moorish history, I mean, brothers and sisters, this is heavy,
Yes.
okay? And it's so wonderful. I love how we teach the babies. I love how we teach the children about their history and how it's relatable.
Yes.
You know, and I give honor to the chairman of Temple Number 11, Brother T. Hopkins Bey, who was working behind the scenes.
That's right.
You know, we had a little technical difficulties, but he's working things out. We cannot see the chat right now, and I don't want to keep leaning up on a computer to look over in the chat room. But brothers and sisters, thank you for your love and your support. Okay, thank you. We appreciate it. That's right. I thank the chairman. The chairman, he's about to go into business for himself. Praise Allah. Him and his wife. And we send a hearty congratulations to him. Wonderful job. Economic security. That's right. Self-sufficient. Do for self. Okay, Brother Woodsill, that's his gospel. Whenever he demonstrates economic security. The prophet said, Prophet Obudrali stated our greatest plight is economic slavery. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that because it's all related to nationality. So I give honor to the chairman, Brother T. Hopkins Bey. He was a teacher before he decided to go into business. And one of the public schools here in the city of Philadelphia, I believe it was Gratz High School. And he invited me to come in to teach his students about Moorish history. And for a lot of our people, we don't like subjects like math and science and history because they feel like they can relate to it. But if you understand that my mother, my father mastered these mathematics, these sciences, the child walks in with a different mindset, with a different thought, and empowering thought, because he realized the legacy of his ancestors that he's carrying. So I went into that school to teach these young brothers and sisters about Moorish history, and it was during this so-called Black History Month. So, you know, out of the worst, the wise will find means of good. So this so-called Black History Month, we take advantage of it. You know, whenever we have an opportunity to teach, we teach. So during this so-called Black History Month, we went into the school, this high school, to talk to these brothers and sisters, and I'm asking myself, and I'm going to Almighty for guidance. You know, how, you know, what can I use to reach the heart and minds and souls of these young people? So the still small voice, it communicated to me, you know, teach them about an aspect of their history that is cool to them. So at the time, I'm like, okay, bam, some Moorish history. You know, when the Moors were in Spain for over 700 years. Moors, we had such a profound effect on the Western world. A lot of us have no idea. Have no idea. And you know what? Before I get into what I talked about, I just want to read something real quick from The Story of the Moors in Spain by Stanley Lane Poole. And this is deep, brothers and sisters. Listen to this. It says, the final reign of the Moors was marked by the underestimation of the menace of their fair-skinned barbarians to the north of the Pyrenees. A Muslim historian of the 11th century refers to them as big-bellied barbarians with pale skins and long hair, and notes that they lack keenness of understanding and clarity of intelligence and are overcome by ignorance, foolishness, blindness, and stupidity. Wow. It goes on to state, it says the decline and fall of the Moorish Empire was such a great setback to modern civilization. Had this great African culture been able to survive, the world would have been 500 years more advanced than it is today.
That's right. That's right.
That's heavy.
So we were set back.
So when the Moors were defeated in Spain in 1492, it set the world behind. 500 years. We can only imagine where we would be today had more civilization thrived. And we know what happened. We can give the history. My wife talked a little bit about what happened. Can't blame nobody but ourselves. And knowing our history, we got to stop repeating the same mistakes and errors of our forefathers. Stop dividing yourself. A lot of us were using knowledge as a weapon against each other. You know, back in the day, gang banging, you know, stabbing people with knives. Now we're shooting each other. Now we doing research, and now we battling. We at war with each other over ideology. You don't use your knowledge as a weapon to beat down your brother and your sister. You use your knowledge to bring together your people. We're one people. So we may not agree on everything, but we got to stop being disagreeable. We got to learn to love instead of hate. And that's why we teach that nationality is character. You can't just simply read a little bit about your history and think that you know something. Oh no, it's much more than that. So, but a lot of these topics we're getting to detail on upcoming shows and programs. So back to when I was in that high school teaching the young people. Okay, and I'm like, brothers and sisters, you know, y'all talking about this swag. I think it was, you know, they were, you know, that was really big. You know, at the time, everybody talking about swag, swagalicious, and all of this stuff. So I said, brothers and sisters, do you know the swag? First I said, who in here got swag? Everybody raised their hand. I said, do you know that your ancient forefathers, they mastered swag? And I started to talk about who you mentioned just a few moments ago. Zuriat. Our brother, his name is Abdul Hassan. Abdul Hassan Ali ibn Nafi. That's his name. Okay, Ali ibn Nafi. His sort of nickname was Zuriat, and it's debates on what does Zuriat mean. You know, some say it means blackbird. However, and this is Arabic. However, Zuriat and his people were influenced by Persian culture. So according to the Persian language, it also means pure gold. Okay, pure gold. So our brother Ali ibn Nafi, aka Zuriat, he lived in Moorish Spain. And this brother was no joke. A lot of things that we do today, brothers and sisters, in modern society, it is the direct result of the Moorish impact on Spain, the Moorish impact on Western civilization. In fact, like I said, at one point in time, over 99% of Europe, these Europeans I'm talking about, they were illiterate. So today in school, they talking about, we got to study Shakespeare. We gave them Shakespeare. They couldn't read Shakespeare. The works were translated from Arabic to Latin. Okay, and many of those universities in Europe got started off the foundation of Moorish science. Oxford University actually used standard Moorish text. And actually, Golden Age of the Moor talks about a schizophrenia that developed amongst these European Catholics. He calls it a schizophrenia because in one instance, they were intrigued by the science of the Moors. You know, they were, you know, their curiosity was piqued. They wanted to learn. They wanted the information, but at the same time, they despised it. And they kept it away from their own people. Okay, so this is also a degree of cognitive dissonance. Okay, so at any rate, Zuriat, telling the young brothers about Zuriat and who Zuriat was. And brothers and sisters, if you don't know about Zuriat, stuff like this, you're not going to hear in Black History Month. An example. From the time you wake up from resting your form, what you demonstrate, it is the result of the legacy of your forefathers. Okay? When you get up and you take a shower and wash your body, soap was introduced by the Moors. Okay, introduced to Western society by the Moors. Washing up, bathing, cleaning your body. Amongst Europeans and brothers and sisters, I'm not speaking radical. Okay, I'm demonstrating principle number 2 right now. These are facts. And you know what? I'm gonna read something from this book. story of the Moors in Spain. Just listen to this real quick about bathing and how they looked at that in Moorish Spain. And I'm talking about the Europeans as compared to the Moors. The Moors were Muslims. So at that time, we demonstrated cleanliness is next to godliness.
Right. Yes.
Because we would wash ourselves at least 5 times a day before we approach the holy prayer.
Right.
So cleanliness, that was our thing. That was a part of our, not only our religion, but also our culture.
Right.
We had public baths for the homeless, for travelers to be able to wash themselves. And when the European took over, one of the first things he did was destroy those public baths. So listen to this real quick. Okay, this is our history, right? This is history.
Yes, it is.
And this is in regards to the Moors in Spain. It says the whole city, and this is Cordova, which is said to be, you know, comparable to our one of the most modern cities that we have in America. Cordova is compared to that. Wow. It says the whole city was full of noble buildings, among which were counted more than 50,000 houses of the aristocracy and official classes, more than 100,000 dwellings for common people, 700 mosques, and 900 public baths. Now listen to this. It says, while medieval Christians forbade washing as a heathen custom. If you wash, they said you a heathen. It says, and the monks and the nuns boasted of their filthiness, insomuch that a lady saint recorded with pride the fact that up to the age of 60, she had never washed any part of her body except the tips of her fingers when she was going to take mass. While dirt was the characteristic of Christian sanctity, the Muslims were careful in the most minute particulars of cleanliness.
Yes.
That's deep.
Yes.
From the moment you wake up in the morning, you demonstrating aspects of Moorish culture.
That's right.
You wash your body. You use soap. You use toothpaste. The credit for toothpaste being taken to Western society, introduced to Western society, was Zuryat. Zuryat introduced toothpaste to Western society. How about this? We go out to dinner. You know, we go out to dinner and we sitting down to eat. The 3-course meal was introduced by a Moor, Zuryat. Okay, 3-course meal, a soup, and he would demonstrate asparagus. I mean, this brother was no joke. Followed by a meat, like a fish, followed by a dessert, some fruits and nuts. 3-course meal. The European would drink out of a metal goblet. Zuryat was like, no, we introducing crystal. So when you drink out of a glass, that's Moorish. That's right. Okay, that comes from your brother. How about fabrics? Yes. You know, the European would have one garment. He put on, he take off. Same garment. No, the Moors, we would have different fabrics that we would demonstrate during different seasons. Right. Okay, colors that he would introduce. Okay, music. The brother memorized over 10,000 songs. Wow. And this is a blessing for our music ministry. Yes. Okay. The brother introduced an instrument. Okay, the lute. The lute. Yes. Okay, these Europeans playing a guitar. That's Moorish. That's right. He introduced the lute. Okay, he improved the lute. The lute originally had 4 strings. Okay, and it dealt with the 4 humors of the body. But Zuryat, being a master Moorish scientist, this brother added a 5th string to the lute. And the 4 strings represented the 4 humors of the body, but he said the 5th represents the soul. Whoa. That's heavy. Yeah. So just like, you know, medicine, you know, restores the equilibrium of the body, well, he understood the science of music. Right. to actually balance the equilibrium of the soul.
Wow.
This is Moorish science, brothers and sisters. This is the legacy of the Moors.
Right.
And what I want to talk about in a little bit is the technology that was demonstrated by the ancestors. Okay, and this technology is available today by way of the Moorish Science Temple of America, because Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he's actually preserving the ancient divine philosophy.
That's right.
Like I stated last program, Dr. G.M. James talks about how the Moors were the custodians of Egyptian culture, which they took into Spain. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he's preserving that by way of the teachings and divine philosophy of the Moorish Science Temple of America, brothers and sisters. Praise Allah. Praise Almighty God Allah. I want to get into some ancient history real quick.
Okay, right.
And I know time is of the essence. We don't like to hold you brothers and sisters for a long time, but we got started a little late tonight, and we thank you for your patience.
Yes,
we know our time is precious. We're busy people. I understand, and I thank you for your patience, brothers and sisters. But this is very, very important.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think we have that right there.
Okay.
Okay. So when you understand Moorish history as opposed to so-called Black history, according to so-called Black history, they will tell you that most of our people were brought over here on slave ships.
Right.
That's totally false. That's totally untrue. And a lot of Moors, Moorish Americans, we know this information, but a lot of us take it for granted. A lot of our people are unaware that our people, our ancestors were here, already here during the pre-Columbian period. But the thing is, they wasn't Black.
Right.
They wasn't Black, and they wasn't Indians.
Right.
We got to clear that up as well. This is a Moorish presence, brothers and sisters, a Moorish presence. So if you're reading about Africans, you're reading about the Moors. That's simple. That's simple. More, that is our ethnicity. Our nationality is Moorish American. We're Moorish American by nationality, but we're Moors by ethnicity. Okay, so understanding the history, the history of the Moors, you realize that brothers and sisters, the problem is a lot of us are studying his story, instead of our record. We're reading his story in Moors, brothers and sisters. I don't mean to come across like I'm being radical. I'm not speaking radical.
No.
Okay, and that's why Marcus Garvey was misunderstood. He said they think that I hate the European because of how much love that I have for my people. Marcus Garvey didn't hate nobody.
No.
And when Prophet Noble Drew Ali says that we don't desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale skinned nations of Europe, that's not hate either. That's love. So the problem is we studying his story instead of our record. And for real, he's new to this earth. He's new.
That's true.
Okay, he's new to this earth. So he's like a baby to this planet. Being real, brothers and sisters. So we're dependent on a history record. From babies on his planet. We were around. There's a record of our existence for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. I have this book from my father, may Allah be pleased with him, called Forbidden Archaeology. That has a record of our existence, of the original man from what they call the Triassic period. Sandals, stitching, etching, which demonstrates a level of sophistication and technology. Millions of years ago. And it's deep because when it comes to our people and our record of our history, the European can't wrap his mind around it. How did they build these structures? How did they design this? And you know what they say? They say the aliens did it. They blame it on aliens. They will say there was a civilization that traveled light years to come to Earth and build these structures that still exist today, and they left.
Can't fathom.
Don't give no credit to you. Can't fathom how did they do this, because the things that we did, they can't even produce it, reproduce it, if you will, with so-called modern technology. Okay, but we got to know our history.
That's right.
Okay, pyramid technology is real and it's deep, because the word Moor actually also means pyramid. Okay, in the Medu Neter, Moor means pyramid. If you demonstrate the determinative, okay, when that word in the Medu Neter is used. So, and this is one of the ancient symbols that the Prophet Noble Ali reintroduced us to. So, in regards to the history of our people, a lot of us were confused. We think that the European, he captured and enslaved our people in Africa and brought us over here, all over here. Listen, he brought some of us over here. He's not off the hook with that. Okay? But not all of us. Most of us was already here. And when the Spaniards came over here, oftentimes they would take Moors from the Americans and take them back to Spain. These are facts. So the Moors who were here, they're not Indians. And many of us, we draw a distinction. The Native Americans, the Aboriginal. And what we do, we demonstrate not the prototype, but the stereotype of indigenous inhabitant of the Americas. And I give honor to brother Dr. David M. Hotep. If you have not gotten the works of brother Dr. David M. Hotep, you got to get it. His one of his most recent books is The First Americans Were Africans, and it's a powerful, powerful book. Look at the cover of the book. The cover of the book shows a brother, shows a Moor, and this Moor is the prototype of indigenous inhabitant of the land. What we're seeing today, is the stereotype, and it's deep, because today, again, you have Europeans that try to take your legacy. There are Europeans who are claiming today that they Native American, that they Indians. And Trump, he was making fun of one of those Europeans, calling her Pocahontas. Oh yeah, if you don't want to proclaim who you are, somebody else will. Somebody else will. So my point is, we have to change the way we think. Okay, we have to change the way we view ourselves, our ancestors, and the world in which we live today. It must change.
That's right.
Those Moors who are here, they were Moors. They were Asiatics. The two braids, okay, the flaxen hair with the aquiline nose is a stereotype. The first people who were here were Moors. And there's actually records of Abu Bakari making various trips back and forth. Well, the Malian people making trips back and forth. Many of our family was Africa, making trips back and forth. And there was actually a test that was done in regards to how was it possible for the Moors to get to the Americas from what they call reed ships. Okay, there was an expedition called the Ra expedition, where they actually made a reed ship and they simply floated it from West Africa to the Americas on what they call trade winds. Our people knew the science of the trade winds, and they did this without sails, without a rudder, without an engine. In 52 days, they got to the Americas. So you can imagine if you had a paddle, other things, you get here in no time. In no time. So the stereotype of indigenous inhabitant is presented the way they are presented because there was an amalgamation. Okay. And the work of Dr. David M. Hotep, he talks about how there were many expeditions to the Americas. People, they say, when we say Columbus wasn't the first, and Columbus never stepped foot on the continental United States of America. Let's be clear. He never stepped foot on the continental United States of America. He was like in the Bahamas, the Caribbean.
Right.
Okay, Cuba. All right. He never, so Columbus Day, that's European psychology. Okay. And we'll get into Thanksgiving another time because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Okay. But my point is that when they talk about, well, yeah, we admit European will admit Columbus wasn't the first, and now they'll point to the Vikings. Well, the Vikings were here. Leif Erikson, they'll tell us that. Okay. But we know even before that, there were various expeditions to the Americas by various Asiatic nations, such as the Mongolians. The Mongolian Empire was one of the largest and most extensive empires to ever exist. Okay, study Genghis Khan. So that was a Mongolian, and they'll tell you on their historical records that they were amongst the first to reach the Americas. So you had Mongolians come over to the Americas. Right. And there was an amalgamation between those indigenous Moors, okay, so-called Africans, mixed with the Mongolians. Right. Yeah. So that's why today you have, you know, what you see today, you know, the presentation of the flaxen hair with the aquiline nose, you know, all of these things. Right. However, the prototypical indigenous inhabitant look just like our people, look like your uncle. That's right. Look like your grandfather. That's right. Okay, we need to realize there was pyramid technology demonstrated in the Americas, right? Which shows that there was commerce, okay? There was cultural exchange that was occurring between our ancient ancestors, okay? So even in Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia, or the art museum is actually built on a pyramid, which they call mounds. There's a mound builder civilization. Okay. So, and even there's various architecture in this city that they refer to as Moorish revival style architecture. So if you don't know who the Moors are, you won't realize that that's you. That's right. That's you. And even understanding your ancient history, which during the so-called Black History Month, you're not going to hear about Imhotep. Right. He was brilliant. He was a genius, a master architect. Yes. Master of medicine, master of mathematics. He was Moors. We're a mastermind. Yes. Right. But you got to know you are to understand the link and the connection between you and your ancient forefathers. Right. Okay. So we could talk so much more about Moorish history. Yes. I wanted to talk about Russell Burroughs, just real quick. Okay. Russell Burroughs Cave in Illinois, near Chicago. In 1982, he was a European spelunker. He goes down into this cave in 1982, discovers this cave in Illinois. And in this cave, he finds artifacts, carvings, okay, paintings. And it doesn't fit within European paradigm. Right. Egyptian artifacts, what they call Phoenician artifacts, Canaanite artifacts, Moorish artifacts, carvings, paintings, you know, petroglyphs or rock carvings of our people. Of our people. But you're not going to read about that. You're not going to hear about that. Okay? But you got to know who you are. That's right. It's so many discoveries being made in regards to our ancient forefathers. Okay? Right. So we also want to touch on more celebrities. Because you have a lot of people, a lot of our brothers and sisters who are in the celebrity world, who've been doing a little study, who've been doing a little research. And because they have been studying, they're now identifying with Moorish culture. Okay? So we have individuals like Mos Def. You know what I'm saying? Mos Def. Yasin Bey. I remember he actually had a CD, and on the back of the CD, he had a picture of the first annual national convention of the Moorish Science Temple of America. You know, that brother, he's doing some studying to put himself out there like that. You have brothers like Mark Jenkins Beck, who's a celebrity fitness trainer. Okay, I'm saying this because some people think this is only us. You have many people out there who've been studying and they know about Moorish culture and identity. So because they've been studying it, they're now understanding the connection between themselves and their forefathers. So now they're identified
Right.
with Moorish culture and practice. And we want to be clear about what culture is.
Right.
You know, what is culture? And where do you get it from? Culture, these are the arts, the customs, the beliefs, the attitude, the values, the behavior, the characteristics of a particular nation.
Right.
Nation. You get your culture from your nationality. Islam?
That's right.
Okay, so
Make it clear.
and it's a blessing. You know, you got people that they study Moors, and we were actually working to get our brother D'Angelo on this show. You know, and I give honors to brother S. Anna Il Bey, Sharif Bey, who's my brother and a scholar, and he's gonna be on the show real soon too.
That's right.
He made that he connected me with the brother D'Angelo, the singer D'Angelo, and I say Islam to my brother D'Angelo if you're listening to this show right now. But we're gonna work to have him on a later show. But the brother's a beautiful brother, and he understands his culture and his history. Okay, you have actors, writers, and producers like brother John Tools Beck. Okay, you got rappers like Waka Flocka. You know, some of us know who Waka Flocka is, and he knows that he's a Moor.
Right.
Okay, you got brothers like Nick Cannon,
Right.
who actually been wearing his turban. He been wearing a turban more for some time now. He putting himself out there. He's like, I studied my ancestors. I know I'm a Moor. I'm going to demonstrate I'm a Moor, and I don't care if you tell me you're going to take money out of my pocket, if you know, trying to threaten me to take my turban off. He's still wearing it. He's still wearing it. So he was on a View, and they asked him on a View about his turban. And why are you wearing this turban? And what does it mean? And one of the hosts, she's like, yeah, is it Indian? Because she's identifying with the Sikhs. And he's like, yeah, the Sikhs wear the turban. But also it's Moorish.
Right.
He said it's Moorish.
That's right.
And he said that he's demonstrating his culture.
Yes,
he
said it.
Moorish culture.
Said it.
Okay. And he demonstrated briefly what the turban represents.
Right.
You know, he said it represents peace. And he's on point.
Yes.
Because Islam simply means peace.
That's right.
So, and this is, you know, one of our first shows, our second show that we're doing here, on the Voice of Moorish America. We formally introduced ourselves last week, told you a little bit about ourselves, but also want to talk a little bit about these turbans and its fez and what it means.
Yes.
What does a turban mean?
Praise Allah.
Before we get into it real quick, pertaining to Nick Cannon, high honors to him. He was on America's Got Talent before he resigned and went fully on to Wild and Out show. And as I spoke about earlier, one of the oaths that was taken by the Europeans when they put us into slavery, they took a death oath, you know, to strip us of our nationality and our divine creed.
Right.
And with doing that, take off our free national and religious headdress.
That's right. That's true. That's true.
Which is the fez.
Right.
And the turban.
Islam.
To take them from our heads so we don't know who we are.
Right.
Right.
Because through identification, through sight, you know, you will say, well, who are these people with these headdresses on? And you will have questions.
That's right.
And I give him my honors because in doing America's Got Talent, he knew that the people that sponsored America's Got Talent would question him on his turban. Right. And also tell him not to wear it. You know? Wow. So I give him honors because he knew this. Right. And he took the step to wear his free national and religious headdress on his show Wild and Out. Right, 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 you know, right. Because it seems like he understands that he has to get out this image to the world. Right. That is major. Right, right. He's on a nationalized television show wearing his free national religious headdress. Yes. You know, they even in Wild and Out, you know, it wasn't right, but you know, it's a joking show. They bust a little bit. They bust a little bit on his turban. They didn't go hard on busting, but you know, it's a part of who you are. Right. When you wear your turban and your fez, it becomes a part of who you are. Right. So when they're busting on that person. Right. You know, but it's just amazing because even in, regular society, our people have a problem once they proclaim their nationality with adorning their turban and fez and having the pride or the courage to wear it, But this was part of putting us in slavery by stripping us of our nationality and divine creed and taking the turbans and fezzes off our heads and the sandals off our feet. I want to tell a quick story. May Allah be pleased, my father, Brother R. Hopkins Bey, praise Allah. He passed away, and early on in his life, he was an accountant. He was an accountant, and he was set up with a really, really good job in the corporate world. And he was just new to the Moorish Science Temple of America. And, he went to the interview with his fez on, and listen, he was about to make buku money. He was he would eventually become a millionaire in this area. And I don't know, well, I do know why the corporate world is the world period is intimidated by you being yourself. And when he went to this interview with his fez on, after the interview, it went very well. He was very qualified. After the interview, the individual who set him up with this job called him later on that day and stated, brother man, you wore, your fez to the interview? And he was like, yes, I did. He said, are you going to wear it again? Are you going to wear it to your job? And he said, yes. And he said, on your next interview, could you not wear it? And he gave him clues to let him know if he do wear it, he's not going to get the job. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's deep. He chose my father, very, very powerful brother. He was very powerful, mastermind in his own right. He chose to wear his fez because he understood the aspect of the turban and the feathers being taken off of his ancestors. Right. To the point of where we are today. We don't even know who we are. We didn't even have the pride or the love to want to put something on our head. We so caught up with hair. And the hair is just it. And it's just so beautiful and it's us. And it makes us beautiful. But the turban and fez is part of our culture. As being Moorish American Muslim. He chose to wear his fez and he didn't get the job. But Allah knows best. Got his own business. Allah ended up blessing him even further. He ended up blessing him with his own business. Working for self, as we stated, economic security. See, we have to have trust. We have to have trust in what Prophet Noble Jali has brought for the salvation of our people. And this is one of the things that Nick Cannon did. He wearing his turban on national TV. He wore it on The View. Oh, yes, he did. He wore it on The View. Yes, he did. He was not scared. He was not intimidated. He said he was ready for the questions. He was upright, like, I'm ready. So praise Allah, for the Prophet bringing, the truth back to us. Restoring our national and divine creed, letting us know who we are. And this is who we truly are. We are turban and fezzed up. That's right. I'm not going to say turban and fezzed down. And the past Grand Sheikh, may Allah be pleased with him. He demonstrated that because he didn't want to compromise his principle. Because any compromise of principle is an abandonment of principle. And we want to be clear. Brothers and sisters wear the turban. Brothers and sisters wear the turban. The only difference is sisters wear the Moorish American button in the V crescent center of the turban. So we just want to make that plain. Islam.
Islam. Praise Allah. There's so much to say on this topic, and I know that time is of the essence. So, we're slowly wrapping up, but we wanted to definitely get into the turban and the fez being a part of our culture. It is a outward demonstration of what is going on within. And yes, adorning a turban or fez is not going to make you a better Moorish American just off of wearing it. However, there's a vibration within wearing a turban or a fez.
Right.
And myself, I can speak personally, there's a vibration of wearing the turban. And you have to know about your history and about the vibration that you're carrying, about your true essence, about a lot of what was demonstrated before, on the show, reference to your history and your culture and the love that you have for your people.
Right.
And all of that, will make you, have the desire to adorn your turban and fez along with your Moorish American Muslim character.
Right.
Yes.
Certain character that comes along with adorning. It should help and assist you in keeping that character upright. However, we know that man is true and false is strangely mixed. So at times we believe that we wear it and it makes us something. However, you have to make the turban. You make the fez. You make it come to life.
Right.
And yes, you activate it. And there's a spiritual essence behind the turban. There is a healing mechanism within the degrees of a turban. And our ancestors knew that. The certain energies that are brought about by even adorning this turban.
That's right.
There is those who follow Kundalini yoga, who understand the energy behind the turban and that crown chakra that you are, make sure that you are covering. There's 26 bones in the head, and the actual turban helps to keep the pressure points on the head and the skull in its proper place. Also the pressure on the temples. It protects mental and psychological well-being. It keeps you grounded firmly. And for us as Moorish American Muslims, it keeps us centered on the lessons of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. It's a reminder, a spiritual reminder, right on the pinnacle of your body, on the top of your head. And also it brings clarity to the mind. The wrapping of the turban is a pattern, and that pattern assists in the blood flow of the brain. It's a lot of high science dealing with this turban and dealing with the fez. However, if you don't know the science and you don't know that science is connected to you, you will just wear it just because you think it's cute, or you wear it because it's a fad for the time being. I'm not saying that that's what Nick Canning or any of the others are doing. However, you have to make sure that you're embodying the principles of your ancestors as a Moorish American Muslim, holding that character, having that proper attitude, having that behavior of a Muslim. And when you have that, it lightens up that turban and fez. It makes it come to light, makes people drawn to you. It makes them want to ask you questions. It makes them desire to know, who are you? You're different. There's something about you. And it's that light that is coming from within outward. Praise be to Allah for these divine lights that we have on our head. The Prophet gave us exactly what we needed. Exactly what we needed. And for those who don't know themselves, this is a walking presentation.
Yes, it is. Truly.
And a savior.
Truly.
For those who don't know, who are in the dark. They have to know you. They have to see you first and know, wait, you look different. You can assist me. So we have these beacon lights on our heads as our uniforms. As a light for those who are in the dark, and to know this is the direction to come in, so that you can receive the truth and know about yourself. Praise be to Allah. Not to mention, they look good.
Yes. We have an ongoing joke, especially with the sisters. We like my wife said, we get caught up in this illusion. Chris Rock, he did that movie Good Hair, because we caught up on the illusion. There's no such thing as good hair, simply because it's flaxen. Okay, that's another subject. But get off that illusion. And we got this ongoing joke, with the sisters, even the brothers, But for the sisters, you wrap your head with a turban. I mean, it really beautifies. It illuminates. It takes years off your form. And sometimes you look at the sister. My wife, she showed a picture of Will Smith's wife. She had a turban on. And seeing it with her with the turban on or with it off, it's a stark difference. It's a stark difference. So I see we got some questions in the chat, and just to address that, yes. Now, first of all, turbans. Brothers and sisters wear turbans. Only sisters wear the turban with the Moorish American button in the crescent center. And we can demonstrate on why, because that's actually fulfillment of prophecy.
Yeah.
That's the seal of the living God in the forehead, if you know a little bit about prophecy.
That's right.
Now, the fez. Yes, you can see images of sisters at one point in time wearing the fez. However, the way of life, the religion and culture, the practice of the Moorish American as brought and taught by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the fez is not to be worn by the sister. This is for order and this is for structure.
Right.
Only brothers wear the fez on our heads. And a fez and a turban, this is a degree. On the chart of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the fez is represented as figure number 1.
Right.
Okay, figure number 1. And it's a degree. It's a similar degree. Okay, it's a 720 degree demonstration.
Right.
Okay, 360 degree of national or finite knowledge, and 360 degree of divine wisdom, of infinite wisdom. Okay, the tassel itself, you know, we can see the tassel being demonstrated on a mortar board.
Right.
When you graduate, they demonstrate the mortar board with the tassel attached. Okay, this is a universal demonstration of degree.
Right.
Okay, of graduation. Now there is no graduation from the Moorish Science Temple of America. However, there is a graduation in regards to levels of consciousness.
Right.
Okay, so the fez itself, it represents law and order.
Yes.
Law and order. It represents the supreme height of wisdom, the pinnacle of wisdom. And again, when you join the Moorish Science Temple of America, things are going to unfold in degrees.
Right.
And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, you know, in the chart of the Moorish Science Temple of America, he talks about those who are empowered to initiate and confer the degrees of the temple. Now, the degrees of the temple are epitomized by the symbols on the chart, but the actual degrees that are being conferred, it is by way of the divine philosophy in our sacred literature, our masterpiece of religious literature, i.e. the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So a part of this degree,
Yes.
it's not only nationality, okay, but also we got a chapter, a lesson called the pinnacle of wisdom.
Right.
And that's what the fez is demonstrating. It's demonstrating the pinnacle of wisdom. These are crowns. The turban and fez are crowns. This is the crowning of the head.
That's right.
It is the symbol of authority, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
That's right.
Okay, this is the degree of the fez and the turban. Now, we got to be clear. The fez and the turban don't make us who we are.
Right. That's right.
These are symbols
That's right.
of a higher state of consciousness.
Right.
So we don't worship the fez and the turban.
No.
You could demonstrate devil, Satan, you know, Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast, and put a fez or a turban on your head. And we want to be clear, okay? Simply because you see this, it doesn't indicate that you got it all.
Right.
Okay? Because there are actual people who wear this a secret.
Sure.
They say that the highest form of flattery is imitation.
Right.
So yeah, you'll see a lot of different things. However, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he is organizing us. The prophet says we organize as the Moorish Temple of Science.
That's right.
Okay, so the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he's putting structure back behind our nation. And like it was stated, we gotta learn to activate the fez and the turban and demonstrate the fez and the turban. And with that, I listen. I know we went behind time. But can I just make this last quick point?
Okay.
Just a quick point.
Yes.
In regards to a technology that is being demonstrated as Moors.
Yes, it is.
See, well, you know, it's just not just knowing what your ancestors did.
Right.
Oh, my ancestors were great. They ruled Spain for over 700 years. They demonstrated their master mathematics and botany and astrology and astronomy and medicine, and they did these great things. There must be a continuity of divine thought. So knowing about your history, it should inspire you
right.
to reflect the divine nature of your forefathers.
Yeah.
Because what slavery did, slavery separated us from our divine nature.
That's right.
So when the Moorish Science of America was founded for the express purpose of uplifting fallen humanity.
That's right.
What the teachings are doing, it is uniting you back with your divine nature. And that's what religion does. Religion comes from the Latin root religios or religare, which means to bind back or reconnect.
Right.
Some people say I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. We're not playing no games.
Right.
Yeah, we're spirit. We're spirits.
Yeah.
That's what we're taught. We're spirits having a human experience. Man is not the body nor the soul. He's a spirit and a part of Almighty God Allah. So yes, spirituality, yes. But when you express your spirituality, that's religion.
That's right.
That's religion. So our ancestors demonstrated religion. They did. Okay, so we have a technology. And what is technology? Technology is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes. We have a spiritual divine technology that is available to us as Moors. And this is part of our teaching in the Moorish Science of America. And I just want to talk about this real quick. And what it is the power of the spoken word.
Right.
Understanding who you are, your nationality is understanding your birthright.
That's right.
Our birthright. And I'm not talking about no finite, limited birthrights.
Right.
I'm talking about your real birthright.
That's right.
Which is to be Lord of all the plane of manifest and the plane of soul. That's your birthright. So we have attributes. Okay, we have the ability to actually speak things into existence. Okay,
right.
in the Quran, in the Moorish Holy Quran, our sacred literature, it talks about the logos. The logos had been introduced to men as love made manifest. The logo, the perfect word, reasoning, intellect. But the etymology of logos literally means word. And this goes back to knowing our ancient history. Okay, the Dogon of the Dogon people of Mali, which they knew before the European telescopes that the Sirius star system is a binary star system. European could not wrap his mind around how do they know this. It's just spiritual technology. Okay, so the Dogon people taught a philosophy of the power of the spoken word. And to write the word Moor in the Medunetter, you have to write it with the open mouth glyph. That's the R sound in Moor in the Medunetter, the open mouth glyph. And it represents the power of the spoken word. So it's not that we're just saying, oh, the power of the spoken word. Yeah, that is true, brother. I heard about that. No, it's more to it.
Right.
To activate the power of the spoken word, the Dogon people called it Nomo. Nomo, the power of the spoken word. But Nomo must work in direct proportion with Maya, which is Islam.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, peace, reciprocity, balance, order. Okay, justice, righteousness. All of this is bounded within that divine philosophy of Maya. So what that means is the power of the spoken word works in direct proportion with your moral standard. Which is why nationality is not that I know my history, I know my forefathers were Moor, so I'm a Moor. No, that is something that must be taught, lived, and practiced.
Right.
That's why we have chapter 5 in our sacred literature.
That's right.
We're given tools that we use in the workshop of the mind where things are made of thought, where we build up character. Okay, building up the character and our moral standards so that we may activate these God-given abilities that we have.
That's right.
I just wanted to share that with the family real quick, that we have a divine technology available by way of the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for tuning in and supporting. Know That's a Radio. We love you so much. Love is the only savior of the world. We must learn to love instead of hate.
That's right.
Thank you, my dear brothers. Until next time, we're going to leave you. Peace.